Hi everyone, this is the Car and Bike Show on the NDTV network, and boy do we have a show for you today. We've got a huge exclusive lined up. I'm not going to waste a minute, we'll get right to it. First, a quick look at what's on the show today. It's a very special car and we have it for you first and exclusive. What's happening? It's in our sector snapshot.
I saw the black thing go right up, down, I just saw it go across.
And India's Formula One sensation Karun Chandok on CNB. And besides all of that, you can see we've also got the new Mitsubishi Outlander that so many of you wanted to see on today's program, but we'll come to that in just a bit. First, I want to talk about 150 years of a watch brand. Now, I know what you're thinking, what do watches have to do with CNB? Well, don't worry, there's a very immediate and a very meaningful connection between these two, because this particular brand has a far-reaching and long association with motoring and motorsport, and that connection just got even stronger. Well, no more riddles, let's get right to this story, and believe me, this is a huge CNB exclusive.
History begins every morning. It's the story of speed, the hunt for speed, of catching time. The quest for speed is one of humanity's perpetual goals. Yet without time, speed is nothing. If you can measure it, you can better it.
It's a tradition that goes back to 1860, when Heuer began making watches that relied on tradition and precision. And that story soon found a unique coexistence with the world of motorsport and indeed automobiles at large, where every millisecond matters. Keeping time with that precision saw Tag Heuer become the first watchmaker to develop dashboard chronographs for sports cars, partner racing drivers, and even sponsor a Formula One team. So there is a motoring lineage. Add to that the glamour and impact of icons like Steve McQueen, or even recent greats like Lewis Hamilton, Jenson Button, or even our very own Shah Rukh Khan. And well, you clearly get everyone's attention to boot. That is the connect which brings us to what we value on this show. Ladies and gentlemen, the Tag Heuer Tesla Roadster, an iconic sports car developed by Tesla Motors with support from Tag Heuer to undertake an odyssey across the world. This car runs entirely on electric power. Yup, no backup hybrid gasoline motors, no fuel cell. This is a plug-in electric, 100%, that can perform too. And with zero emissions, it's environmentally conscious. This green car began its journey from Basel in Switzerland at the end of March and will travel the earth to end up in France just in time for the Paris Motor Show in October. Traveling along with the car is a special exhibit that showcases the landmark timepieces over the past decades. So, from the early chronographs that went into car and airplane dashboards to watches named after Formula One circuits and watches worn by famous personalities like Ayrton Senna and even the US President. It's 150 years of the Tag Heuer watch brand. That's what this car really commemorates in many ways, and you can see that it's going to go across to many cities across the world, and that includes Delhi, India. So it's brilliant that Delhi has been one of the stopovers for Tag Heuer and for Tesla. In fact, the Tesla Roadster, well, that's the badging back here. It's a carbon fiber lip of a spoiler. Looks really neat and, of course, plays a functional role as well when it comes to the aerodynamics of this car. Look at the height of the car. It's really, really low slung to cut down on the overall drag, and so very aerodynamic. Again, carbon fiber roof that actually can be taken off because this is a Roadster, don't forget. Look at this little bit of the pattern that's been put in here by the designer of the car, and that gives you a little bit of the old classic watch movements. Of course, it's Tag Heuer, and so not surprising that you have that sort of an element. In fact, even a subtle use of green and red on the car, again to signify the colors of the brand. Come around to the front and it starts looking definitely like a sports car. I mean, just take a look at it. I don't have to talk about it. Really low slung. But what's interesting is you don't have like a powerful V8 or a V12 down there. No, sir. You have a battery pack which is at the back, and it just tucks in very neatly. In fact, if you look at the overall size of the car, It's nice and compact, nice and snug, and the battery pack actually just takes up a very small amount of space. How do you charge the battery? Well, you just need to pop this open, and there you go. That's how you plug it in and give it a full charge. So the Delhi sticker has been added. The Tag Heuer Tesla Roadster is all set to blaze on. It's already covered Monaco, Milan, Budapest, Warsaw and Moscow, which makes Delhi almost like the halfway mark. And CNB got the only access to drive the car in India. So what you see are world exclusive details, folks. The car is easy and exhilarating to drive. It performs like a sports car and not like a golf cart, as many assume an electric vehicle would drive. And that's despite the fact that there is no power steering, which was intentionally kept out so that you get great feedback from the road. The low-slung design helps achieve terrific downforce and aerodynamics. Response from the throttle is immediate and very satisfying. Of course, you get a dull electric whine instead of a throaty rev, but you get used to that surprisingly quickly. Now, I expected the performance to be electric car-like, but it's not. It's just like a sports car in the sense that you get the instant acceleration that you want from a sports performance-oriented machine. The car does 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in a scorching 3.7 seconds. It develops 288 horses, and the electronically limited top speed is 210 kilometers per hour. Add to this that the Roadster is the first production automobile to use lithium-ion battery cells only, and the first production EV to travel more than 320 kilometers per charge, and it's quite impressive. And get this, while the batteries are regenerative, that is, they convert the car's kinetic energy to charge, the recharging happens when the car decelerates, and no braking is required. The car also has surprisingly good ground clearance, which meant that we didn't scrape a single bump when we went over these speed breakers. Tesla is an American car company based in the Bay Area that specializes in EVs. Oh, and in case you're wondering how the car charges besides the regenerated power, well, regular electric supply. And with a booster that gets you charged up in just a few hours, on just regular supply, it's an overnight charge for the entire battery pack. The plug-in is also straight out of a superhero movie. The blue light indicates the battery is ready to charge. The yellow light flashes till the charging is complete. The light turns green when done. Now, there's lots of carbon fiber everywhere. That's not surprising in most sports cars. But it just gives you a nice feel of a sports car inside as well. It's a cockpit sort of a feel. And yet there's some classic elements that have been used here. Especially the gauges and the dials here have a little bit of that old classic Tag Heuer watch look, which is not surprising. You also get a nice classic Tag Heuer stopwatch down here to do lap times, if you will. And the rest of it is again very modern. There's a touch screen here that lets you go through the car functions. Also lets you monitor the battery performance. So you have different modes on the battery, which lets you look at the performance mode, which obviously expends more of the battery, the range mode, which lets you go a longer distance without perhaps doing as much of a performance-oriented drive as you otherwise would. The rest of the cockpit is, like I said, very much like a sports car. So even the seats, the way you're sitting low-slung, it has a great feel to it and actually adds to the overall charm when you're driving the vehicle. So quite a substantial package. In case you were wondering, that's the boot space. It sits alongside the electric control module and also the battery pack, which contains 6,831 iron cobalt lithium cells that are kept cooled so as to maximize battery life, which can stretch 7 to 8 years. Cool, eh? After driving around Delhi and then Jaipur, the Tag Tesla Roadster will head to China, where it will drive from Beijing to Shanghai. It's Tokyo, Los Angeles, Miami, New York and London next, before arriving in Paris in October with 37,000 kilometers under its belt. We will hope to meet this car once again at Paris, but for now, it's au revoir.